We all know that stress isn't good for us, but what if I told you that it is quietly sabotaging your brain? So, chronic stress isn't just an emotional burden, it physically changes your brain, it damages memory, focus, and even mood. Today, we are going to uncover the hidden ways that stress poisons your brain and how to protect yourself from its effects. But if you're new here, my name is Lisa Ann de Garcia, and I help you optimize your brain health so you can feel calm, focused, and productive every day. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our brain boosting tips. Stress is your body's natural response to perceived threats. It's designed to help you survive short-term challenges. However, when stress becomes chronic or we're stuck in that state, your body's stress response goes into overdrive and your brain pays the price. So chronic stress results in a constant release of cortisol, which is a hormone that affects nearly every aspect of brain function. So what's really interesting is the loop, it starts like with the hypothalamus, and then signals go to pituitary and then to your thyroid and then to your adrenals, and it releases cortisol, but then it goes back up, and it's just like this vicious cycle. Cortisol is essential in small doses. It helps you stay alert and focused and ready to respond to challenges. However, prolonged exposure to high cortisol levels create a toxic environment for your brain. It shrinks the hippocampus. Cortisol reduces the size of the hippocampus. That is the brain's memory center. It interferes with the growth and maintenance of the neurons. Over time, it makes it harder to form new memories and recall the existing ones. So anyone who wants to hang on to your memory, this is really important. Cortisol also interferes with synaptic plasticity, which is the ability to adapt and form new connections. It makes information processing slower and less efficient. High cortisol levels also disrupts the production of serotonin and dopamine, which are critical for mood stability, motivation, and pleasure. And this imbalance increases the risk of anxiety and depression. So over time, effects of chronic stress extend beyond temporary brain fog or fatigue. It physically changes the architecture of your brain. Chronic stress reduces the volume of gray matter in the areas like the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking, problem solving, and impulse control. This makes it harder to stay organized, focused, and emotionally balanced. Just as a side note, our brain has gray matter and white matter. To me, it actually looks peachy tan, but anyway, it's considered gray matter and white matter. Gray matter are the structures. White matter are the highways, so the nerves, the myelin, that I go like this because it comes from one side of the brain and then in the brainstem it crosses over. But that's all the little highways that connect the gray matter structures. So the gray matter is like the little towns, and the white matter are the little highways that connect the towns. It's just so you know what you're talking about. So gray matter is all the major structures that do this stuff. But if they're not connected by white matter, that's a problem as well. Stress also overstimulates the amygdala. So that is the brain's fear center. It's the limbic system is the emotional center, and the amygdala is very tiny. It's like the size of an almond, but it's like our fear center, and that just really takes over our whole body. It makes you more reactive to stressors. It creates a feedback loop of heightened anxiety and stress response. It also weakens the prefrontal cortex. So the prefrontal cortex governs the executive function like decision making and self-control. When it becomes less effective, leaving you prone to impulse behavior and poor judgment. So up here, this is your prefrontal cortex, and back here is your brainstem. When your prefrontal cortex is working great, you can stop and think about what you're going to say. You can respond to things and not react. But when we have very low communication with the prefrontal cortex, our brainstem takes over and we are reacting like this. Okay, we're not responding, we are reacting. Chronic stress often manifests in ways that people don't immediately associate with their stress levels. These symptoms may feel disconnected, but often stem from the brain's compromised state. A constant feeling of mental cloudiness, which is brain fog, right? That difficulty concentrating. That's often caused by a weakened neural connection and reduced hippocampal function. Mood swings, emotional stability, including irritability, anxiety, or depression due to disruptive neurotransmitter production. And we have fatigue, persistent mental and physical exhaustion caused by the brain's inability to regulate energy effectively. We have reduced productivity, which is struggling with focus, problem solving, or staying motivated, often linked to reduced gray matter in the prefrontal cortex. The effects of chronic stress extend far beyond day-to-day struggles because prolonged stress accelerates brain aging and increases the risk of long-term neurological conditions. So when you are my age, you are really you're seeing yourself getting closer and closer to that door, and you are probably going to be really interested in not accelerating brain aging because I don't know about you, but I want to be able to remember my life. I want to remember who my kids are. I want to be able to be productive. I've never had a traditional, I mean, I had a job, but I'm not going to be able to really have retirement income or anything. So I need to be able to be productive for a very long time in order to, unless, I don't know, some random investment just like sky goes through the roof or something, I have to still figure out how I'm going to take care of myself and my family. Hopefully my kids by then will be able to start taking care of me, but I'm not going to depend on that. So this is very important to me to be able to protect my brain from aging, or we all age, but we can age gracefully. And my mother-in-law, she has the most amazing brain, right? So I guess if I had to lose one thing, I would rather lose some of my physical abilities because I want my brain to stay intact. Neurodegenerative disease, chronic stress promotes neuroinflammation and oxidative damage. Those are key contributors to conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and whatever. And obviously they're much more involved in that. But it also impairs brain plasticity by reducing the brain's ability to form new neural connections, hindering learning, creativity, and recovery from injuries. It weakens the blood-brain barrier. So chronic cortisol exposure compromises the blood-brain barrier, allowing toxins and inflammatory molecules to infiltrate the blood-brain, worsening neuroinflammation. That blood-brain barrier we've talked about in previous videos, it's the protection, again, from toxins going into the brain. Just like in our gut, there's a barrier to protect toxins to go through into our bloodstream through our gut, there's one in our brain as well. But there are some things that cross the blood-brain barrier really easy. And if you have inflammation in the gut, you're going to have inflammation in the brain. You're going to have a leaky brain, just like we can have a leaky gut. And the effects of stress on the brain can be severe. The brain is remarkably resilient. With intentional actions, you can mitigate stresses, damage, and even reverse some of its effects. Mindfulness practice can rewire the brain, strengthen areas like prefrontal cortex while calming overactive amygdala. There's actually like that neuro-linguistic programming, something that I have not got into. I just have to draw the line. Like I can't learn everything that's out there. I could, but I don't have time. And so I have to draw the line. But neuro-linguistic programming is very powerful. There are people, you can just basically what you say to yourself on a daily basis and what you're telling, your body responds and it actually obeys. You might want to think about things like that. Regular meditation increases gray matters in areas responsible for attention, emotion regulation, and memory. Studies show that mindfulness reduces cortisol levels, improving both mood and cognitive performance. Just start with 5 to 10 minutes a day on focused breathing or guided meditation to begin seeing benefits. Breathing, by the way, is really important. You get oxygen that way. And every time when we used to teach brain gym, we always stop and say, are you breathing? And people don't realize, like right now, are you breathing? People don't realize how often they're holding their breath. I catch my son who has special needs and he oftentimes holds his breath. You are not doing your brain any service by holding your breath. You need to deep breathe. And the more you intentionally breathe throughout the day, the more of a habit it becomes and the less you'll hold your breath. So that made me want to breathe. Okay, and have a deep breath. Physical activity boosts your brain-derived neurotropic factor, the BDNF, which is a protein that promotes growth and repairs brain cells damaged by stress. Aerobic exercises like jogging, swimming, and cycling, that improves overall brain function and reduces cortisol levels. Strength training, lifting weights, resistance training, it not only builds up physical resilience, it's great for your bones, but it enhances insulin activity, which is indirectly supporting brain health. You want to aim for about 30 minutes of moderate activity 4 to 5 times a week for maximum benefit. Something that you need to know. If you are a marathon runner, okay, I have run 2 marathons. I did it because I was roped into it, but I was running with the San Diego Track Club and I had to train with people. My husband was able to just go train all by himself. But when you are training for something that's strenuous, it's a breakdown on your body. So you can do that for a season, but that should not be your regular MO. You should not be spending the rest of your life training for a marathon because it is constant cortisol. Cortisol is catabolic. It breaks down your body. Okay, DHEA is anabolic. It builds up your body. So you, for the most part, you want to do things that build up your body, not break it down. But sometimes little bouts of it, for example, when a weightlifter lifts weights and it breaks down the muscles, and why? Because then when it grows back stronger, that is healthy levels of stress. But when you are over exercising too much, it's actually not good for you. So just to let you know. So if you are finding that you're sick and you don't know why, you might want to stop that. All right, so then we got sleep. Sleep is critical for allowing your brain to detoxify, repair, and regulate stress hormones. And we've talked about, I think it was in a couple videos ago, about the importance of sleep in draining toxins from your brain and the lymphatic system. But it also, slow wave sleep clears waste products like beta amyloid, which is linked to Alzheimer's. Cortisol regulation, a full 7 to 9 hours of sleep ensures your cortisol rhythms are reset properly. Prioritize your sleep hygiene. Maintain a sleep schedule. So go to bed by a certain time, wake up by a certain time, try to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Avoid screens before bed. I cannot stress that enough because the blue light emitted from the screens is going to tell your melatonin, like your pineal gland, to not make melatonin yet. It's not time. What you might, if it's like imperative that you are on a screen because let's say you have to do a Zoom call with a client or something before, try to get a cover. I just got this laptop right in front of me is a new one, and I don't have a filter yet, but try to get a cover that filters out blue light. Try to wear, if it's in the evening, like yellow. The later it is, the darker the orange it should be. So early in the day, I don't wear them. I'll wear, if I need glasses, I'll wear my regular ones. And as the day progresses, because your body does need blue light in the day to stay alert. And then I will use blue blocking type glasses or whatever. And I just got these. I don't have the best brand or anything, but more yellows in the evening and then later in the night, like more orangey. And you can even try to set I think there's programs that you can set your computers to. One used to be called Iris. I don't know if that still exists or not. So there are ways, but you need to think about that. That's really important because your brain's going, I don't need to produce melatonin yet, so then you don't get sleepy. So at least an hour before you go to bed, try to ditch the screens. Also, Wi-Fi is really detrimental. This whole thing is not about Wi-Fi, but make sure you turn off your routers at night. So when you are sleeping, you get like a really good restorative sleep because Wi-Fi signals, cellular signals, do not keep your cell phone and your computer in your room when you sleep. Everything needs to get out, needs to go in another room. My husband is on call, so he keeps his out in the hallway, plugged in. We have a plug in the hallway. I keep mine in the other room. I have people around the globe that will like message in group messages, and they're maybe not messaging me, but they're group messages, and I don't even want to hear the dings because every time those things wake up, like they wake you up, it's a burst of cortisol, so you don't want that. So make sure that your sleep hygiene. Also, before you go to bed, you could have a little bit of protein. It's good to not eat for 3 hours before you go to bed, but if you're getting cortisol spikes and waking up in the middle of the night or histamine, then make sure you're not eating histamine foods and avoiding like sugars and stuff to give you a cortisol spike in the middle of the night. Protein and fats will be more like steady. And then what you eat directly influences your body's ability to combat and affect stress. Omega-3 fatty acids, we've talked about that in a few videos. Salmon, walnuts, flax seeds, omega-3. Omega-3s reduce brain inflammation, protect neural connections, antioxidants like blueberries, dark chocolate. There is like some things. Dark chocolate, when I say dark chocolate, I eat 88% dark chocolate. So it's bitter. The more bitter it is, it's not as bitter as 90 or 100, obviously, but it's still pretty bitter. So I don't eat so much of it, and it's very good for you. Spinach, fight oxidative stress caused by cortisol. However, chocolate, spinach, almonds, kale, like all the good stuff, has a lot of oxalates, so if that could be another issue that could cause, so make sure you're not eating too much of any one thing. That's where variety comes in. I talked about that a couple videos ago. I'm really bad at variety, but you need a lot of variety in your food so you don't develop conditions from eating too much of the same great food. Magnesium-rich foods such as leafy greens, nuts, and seeds help regulate the nervous system and promote relaxation. Adaptogenic herbs. This is really good. So if you have to do add one thing, an adaptogenic herb is shown to balance cortisol levels and enhance stress resilience. So ashwagandha is like the number one adaptogenic herb. You can get it into tincture or capsules or whatever. I like things when I can't get in tincture and put them in water and I just drink it. Rhodiola boosts mental energy and combats fatigue. Holy basil supports emotional balance and calms the nervous system. You might want to get an adaptogenic herb blend. And also essential oils. Oh, I have one over there. There's one by doTERRA that's called Adaptive. That one tends to be really good. When I muscle test, a lot of kids do really well with that one. But you can look that up. What are the ingredients? And then for essential oil, and then you can get your own blend. But what adaptogens do is they help your body adapt to stress. That's why it's called an adaptogen. Give your kidneys, your adrenals a little love and give them some ashwagandha and some holy basil or whatever. Also, strong social connections can help buffer the stress by promoting feelings of safety and belonging. So make sure that you are sharing your struggles with family. Don't keep things in. Ask for help when you need to help. And of course, there's always professional support as well. So stress may be unavoidable. It is. And to a certain degree, it is actually some stress. It's called eustress. Some stress is good. And you know what? If you win the lottery, whatever we perceive to be good, it's still, your body still reacts the same way. So you can have too much of a good thing as well. Stress is unavoidable, but it doesn't have to poison your brain. By understanding how chronic stress impacts brain function and implementing strategies like mindfulness, exercise, and dietary changes, you can protect your brain, improve your mental performance, reclaim your peace of mind. Start with one simple change today, whether it's a 10-minute meditation or a handful of brain-boosting walnuts, or just stopping and breathing and stopping and smelling the flowers. Then you just build on from there. Remember, just start slow. Take one change at a time. If you do too much, you won't do anything at all. So if this video was eye-opening for you, give it a thumbs up, share it with somebody who could benefit from learning about their brain's detox system, their everything brains. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming brain health videos. If you want to learn about the pillars, all the pillars of my 5-step system, Restoring Brain Health, then grab my free 122-page book and companion course. The link for that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.